We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
Hello and welcome to another episode of High School Famous, the podcast where Sean and I talk about stuff.
It's almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
There aren't many guarantees in life, Matt, but one of them
is us talking.
Could be said that is we will talk about stuff when we record these things, and if you listen to them, you will hear the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. Yep. I will agree with Sean on that. So, that's you. I will agree with you on that. I guess I didn't need to say your name.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about me
to you,
right? Through me or to me.
I'm talking about you to
so
you,
anyone
which
listening,
is weird. Yeah.
Anyone listening, that's you can count on us. We will talk about stuff as long as you listen to stuff we talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll do it whether they listen to it or not.
Yeah, that could fall into the, if a tree falls in the woods type of questioning. If no one listens to what we talk about,
are we really talking about it? Right.
Are we really talking about anything?
I mean, I guess because there's two of us involved, we would know. It'd be different if you were just talking to yourself in the woods, then you couldn't prove that you were doing that.
Well, I'm not talking
unless again you recorded it
in the woods. But
true.
We're recording this and then it's going to get posted, but if no one listens to it,
right.
You could still argue that we never talk about anything, because once you show someone in order to prove it, then someone has listened to it.
Right.
Right? So that no longer fits in the bounds of this question.
Yeah. So what you're saying
is, if no one ever listens to the podcast, did we record and put out a podcast?
I mean, there'd be a physical copy of it. So I mean, you could prove that we posted it, but you couldn't prove that there was any content on it without listening to it.
Sure. Okay. Then did we talk about stuff?
Right.
As we are so guaranteeing.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you can't have your cake and eat it too.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I got a quick lesson about what that statement means, or what that old saying means. My argument was that eating cake was called having cake. So if you have your cake, you are eating your cake. But I guess it means you can't eat your cake and then still have cake afterwards.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Why that was chosen as the way to describe, any type of desire like that, having cake and eating cake.
What's a better way? You can't be you can't have your child and also kill your child. It's the same saying, but much more gruesome and grim.
Why is that the first thing you went to?
That is a good question.
I mean, there could have been other
I
foods.
do not have an answer to.
But aside from cake, sticking with the same theme of eating something and then still having what you ate available to eat later.
Well, no, the reason I diverged so dramatically was because just changing the food does not change the possible confusion of the saying. So you have to kind of change it to I don't know. I was trying to change it to a more dramatic outcome of you can't have these two things at the same time, and yet it still explains the answer.
You might have gone with the most dramatic.
Possibly. Yeah.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little I went to Valleyfair yesterday.
Oh, exotic.
Well, for those who don't know, for those who aren't local, Valleyfair is just an amusement park in Minnesota. Roller coasters and food and whatnot are present at this park. Think of
general,
like a Six Flags.
General amusement park affair.
Yeah, so because of the current state of the world, you can't just even if you're a season pass holder, you can't just show up.
Right.
You have to reserve the date that you're going to go ahead of time and the time that you're going to show up ahead of time.
That's weird.
So yeah, and at first I thought, well, maybe this is just to monitor the number of people that are there, and when it first opened up, I looked at the first opening weekend, and the Saturday, the 22nd of May, was completely sold out. All the time slots were sold out. I'm like, okay. Well, this is their way of keeping track of, I guess, how many people are there.
Yeah, it keeps the numbers down to a probably decent amount.
But it doesn't mean that you have to leave after a certain amount of time. Okay. It's not like you have from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. and then you're done. So if the people that show up at the opening hour stay until closing, and everybody who shows up in between don't leave until closing, the park has that many people at closing time. So it seems like maybe the goal is to just lessen the amount of people that are going in line to get through the entrance at once or something. Okay. But needless to say, it seemed like just like any other time being there.
It was still super busy and everything.
But the thing that made it the worst was booking ahead of time. You don't necessarily know what the weather's going to be like. And yesterday was 99 degrees.
Yeah, it was hot here too.
And I really did not want to go. And we ultimately went on a total of 5 rides because of lines. But the only reason we went on 5 rides was because we went on the last ride we were going to go on, which was called the Monster. Some people call it like the Octopus because it's you're familiar with this ride, right?
Okay,
it's the black
one been there forever.
Little seats of 2 at the end of each arm, and those spin as the whole thing raises and lowers and spins. But we got in there and we went on the ride, and then when it was done, they're like, "Oh, because of the fact that it was close to closing and there were so few people in line to get on the ride now, they're like, hey, if you guys want to stay and ride again, we can stay and ride again because they need to have so many people to distribute the weight evenly and all that." So we rode it a second time because we just didn't get off the first time. So that counts as 5 rides. Otherwise, we would have been there from 1:30 p.m. until about 6 p.m., only going on 4 rides.
Jesus.
Which makes none of this seem worth it, especially on a 99-degree day.
That's absolutely nuts. Like, going there on just a normal pre-COVID day, like... lines can be long and stuff, but you'd still go on more than 4 rides.
Well, one of the things was the third ride. So we met up with one of my son's classmates and his dad. And one of the things that made it take forever was we went on 2 rides, and then we were going to go on some sort of ride that gets you wet to cool us off. And so we chose Thunder Canyon. And we were in line for about an hour to get on Thunder Canyon. For those who don't know, Thunder Canyon is just a ride where you sit in a floating raft thing with 6 seats, and you're all facing each other. It's like a circle, and you just flow through some water, and you get you go underneath some waterfalls along the way, and that's basically it. Sometimes you'll crash into the edge, and it'll make water splash up from underneath into the raft. Sometimes you're just flowing under a waterfall for half a second. So that was our way of battling the heat, but that was everyone's way of battling.
But it was everybody's, yeah.
So, none of it seemed worth it. But we got to have some Dippin' Dots at the end, which were great.
Always worth it at the end, yeah. The Dippin' Dots
always worth it.
Make the trip worthwhile.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Dippin' Dots are frozen tiny balls of ice cream put into a plastic cup, and you eat them just like ice cream. But for some reason, they decided to make them into teeny tiny little balls instead of just ice cream.
Right.
I guess it's more fun.
But you don't really
you don't eat them that way.
You don't dip into them or anything, though, right? You don't dip into them.
No, you dip.
So the name is slightly misleading.
Right,
but you dip a spoon into a lot of things you eat.
Yeah. You dip a spoon into regular ice cream also.
I don't call it like dipping cereal or.
The whole gimmick is that once they enter your mouth, they eventually, after a second or two, become regular ice cream.
Right.
Yeah, it's the ice cream that melts in your mouth, and if you wait long enough, melts anywhere else.
Well, yeah, all ice cream melts in your mouth.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, I mean,
it's
I don't know.
It's basically just got a light coated candy shell on it, kind of, right?
No. I mean, maybe it has something, but no, it's not like if you bite into it, there's some sort of outer shell, then there's ice cream in the middle inside that.
Right.
It's just
little
frozen balls of ice cream.
Seems like that's just harder to make than regular ice cream. I mean, obviously, it's got to be. There's more of a process to it.
Yeah, but it might be easier to scoop for those serving it. That's the only benefit I can think of. Aside,
you could almost have it in one of those little things where you just pull a lever and it just like comes out. Like when you go to like the grocery store and they have the little sections of like nuts and stuff, and you can just pull the lever and it'll like pour some nuts into like a bag. You can almost have that set up for it.
It very unpredictably just falls out of a chute, and you hope it all lands in the cup that you're trying to get them in.
Yeah.
Maybe they should do that.
Maybe a bucket underneath that can catch like any stuff that gets out of the way.
I don't know what is what I'm only hearing fragments of what you're saying. You're cutting out like a lot.
Yeah. Pretty sure our connection's absolute garbage.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah. So how was your Saturday? Matterday?
You know, my Saturday started off with me getting up at 6:30 in the morning on purpose, and going out for a 2-hour bike ride.
Oh, I saw you post some photos.
Yeah, that's what my Instagram is now.
Well, but posting photos?
Well, no, like just posting photos of like biking.
Right, but all I said was I saw you posted some photos, and you said, yeah, but that's what my Instagram is now.
Oh, yeah.
I've decided to use my Instagram to post photos. What do you think?
It seems like the thing to do.
All I can say is at least you're creating the illusion that you're going on bike rides. Because so far, you've just posted pictures of your bike without a person on it, leaning on things.
Yeah, that's all I intend to do anymore, is if I'm going to post pictures, it's just going to be me biking around places, and then just me not in the photos of them, but just my bike against landmarks things.
I saw your bike was posted near what appeared to be a park with some tiny glass ghosts, and then there was the white faces in the dirt. They look like ghosts. They look like little ghosts to me, like little. They're a bunch ghosts.
Of heads. Oh no, they're a bunch of sculptures of heads in a circle.
Oh, they also looked illuminated. Are they illuminated?
No, they're white.
Maybe it's the sun. Maybe it's the sun that was illuminating them.
The sun does illuminate things.
And the other was a picture of your bike far away from a round area full of water.
It was a water fountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Buckingham water fountain. It's the fountain at the beginning of the show Married with Children.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Historic. A historic landmark featured at the opening sequence of Married with Children.
Yep. I took a picture of my bike in front of that same fountain like the week prior, but the fountain didn't have any water in it yet.
Oh, and then this week it had water in it. Compelling photo.
It was. And so that's the only reason I took basically the same photo this week, because I was like, well, now it's got water. Now I have to.
Yeah. You're like, I can't let anyone think that I think a waterless fountain passes for a good photo. I better return to the same location to redeem myself for something I never let public.
I didn't deliberately I'm going to make sure I go back to the fountain. It's just I happen to pass the fountain every time I go for a bike ride along the lakeshore.
You might have. Matt, I have a question. Speaking of round things full of water, what do you know about what do you know about the flat Earth theory?
Was this your way of transitioning into a topic that you kind of slightly prepared for today?
I thought about it while we were talking about your Instagram that I could use that as a slight segue to it.
Okay.
But you brought up. I think it's funny.
You're like, how was your Saturday? I brought up one thing about my Saturday. You're like, let's move on to this topic I wanted to talk about. Well, screw your actual Saturday. It's fine. Not much more happened.
How much longer were you going to talk about your Saturday, for crying out loud?
Yeah, Mister. I just talked about Valleyfair for.
We were only at
10 minutes.
Yeah, well, we were only at 6:30 a.m. Yeah, still.
Well, no, by the time I got to the fountain, it was no longer 6:30 a.m. I got up at 6:30 a.m. I left the house at 7. I was at the fountain by 8.
All right, I thought we were done talking about this.
You think a lot of things sometimes, and
what else happened?
I am tired of it. I am tired of you thinking of things. Stop it.
What else did you do on Saturday?
Stop it. I came home after biking.
All I told you that I did was went to Valleyfair. I didn't tell you what I did before or after Valleyfair.
Okay, fine. I went biking on Saturday, and then I went home.
Yeah.
More may or may not have happened.
First I got up, and I don't remember when.
So, Sean, what do you know about the flat earther theory?
Well, I'm asking you what you know, because I did a little bit of reading on it, and so I'm wanting to know.
That was my way of changing the subject back. So what you want to know? I said that was my way of changing the subject back.
Oh, very good. Yeah, very smooth.
So you want to know what I know about the flat earther theory?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think it all involves? What's their explanation for their? What's their reasoning for their theory of the shape of the Earth being flat, a disc? If it's a disc shape,
I really can't comprehend why anyone would have any idea that it was like that. So I know that there's this one specific guy that is the spokesman for morons.
Well,
I'm assuming he's a spokesman. No, I will not be open-minded against flat earthers.
Let's be open-minded about this theory. Those that subscribe to this believe strongly that they are right about the shape of the Earth.
Right.
And they're wrong, entitled to their own opinions and beliefs on the matter. And as long as they can provide compelling evidence to support their ideas, we shouldn't just pass them off as morons.
Well, if you so choose to feel that way, that's fine. I don't.
Sure.
Are you all right there? Something went wrong?
I was making sure I was talking toward the logo of the mic. It was covered up. And this is the first, this is the first time using it after putting it back in after going to Chicago. So,
right.
So what do you? Obviously you know that their idea is that the Earth is flat and round as a disc shape. But do you know any other details about how the world works as a flat Earth?
I've watched a couple videos of stuff, but it was a while ago, so it's not really in my head anymore. I think I pushed it out to put in more song lyrics for some reason.
Yeah. Well,
a song lyric that used to be there from 10 years ago came forward and shoved that stuff back. Our delay is way worse today, by the way.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
I might have to do some actual editing today.
So the general idea is that the Earth is a flat disc shape, and the center of this disc is the North Pole, and the outer edge is what explorers have called Antarctica, but it's really just sort of an ice wall surrounding the edge of this disc that holds the water in, right?
Right.
And there are NASA employees at the wall guarding it so that no one goes over the wall and dies.
Okay.
So
seems important.
How does day and night work, right? On the flat Earth theory. So
it's
what we know to be day and night.
It's daylight for everyone all at the same time, or nighttime for everyone all at the same time. It's the only way it would work.
Well, no, that's not how it works. You see, that's based on the reality of the lies that we've been taught in school about the sun, and the moon,
fooled you,
and the Earth. So we think that this round globe of an Earth rotates, and when the side that is facing away from the sun, when that area is nighttime, and then there's the side that is facing the sun, that area is daytime. And then since it rotates, we slowly move between day and night, and that's how it works. But the real physics of it is the Earth is a disc shape, and the sun and the moon, which are spheres, they're not denying the spherical shape of the sun and the moon. they just sort of spin above the disk of the Earth on opposite ends, and they act as spotlights. The sun acts as a spotlight shining straight down at the Earth, and so there's the area that gets illuminated by the sun, and as it goes around the disk, different parts of the disk get illuminated, and when the sun moves along, that area of the disk is now dark.
Okay.
And there's
seems inefficient.
So that clearly explains why we experience night and day. And the size of the sun and the moon are drastically smaller than what we've been taught, and they're drastically closer than what we've been told.
But how do they stay there? How do they not just come crashing down onto this flat disk? Well,
they don't. I didn't see anything. Now, I didn't dig too deep into this, but I didn't see anything that explained that.
Okay.
But the sun and moon are spheres measuring 32 miles that move in circles 3,000 miles above the plane of the Earth. So they are both 32 miles, I'm guessing, in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
And they are 3,000 miles above the Earth disk. And the stars move in a plane.
So they're closer.
31.
So they're closer to the surface of the Earth than we are to Thailand.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you know that?
Thailand's like 5,000 or I don't know. It's like a lot of miles away. More than that. More than 3,000.
But stars, they say, move in a plane 3,100 miles up. So they're only 100 miles above the sun and the moon. All the stars. So like spotlights, these celestial spheres illuminate different portions of the planet in a 24-hour cycle. So
how are the stars illuminated if...
I don't know.
I'm not going to try to dig into it.
So now, what we seem to experience is this phenomenon called an eclipse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where this body in space called the moon, its orbit around our round global Earth eventually gets in the way of the sun, and the sun is partially or fully blocked out for a small period of time while that crossover happens. And the only reason that happens is because the sun, being so much larger, is at such a greater distance that they can appear to be a similar size in relation to their distance from the Earth, right?
Okay. Yep.
So how does that happen if the sun and the moon are really just rotating at opposite ends of each other over the disk of the Earth? Why, it's an invisible anti-moon.
Okay, so you cut out a lot during all of that, and all I came back to was invisible anti-moon. And I'm just thoroughly upset.
This will make more sense to you when you listen back. But
so basically, there's an invisible anti-moon, which doesn't make any sense. That's what blocks the sun.
Yeah. Flat earthers believe there must also be an invisible anti-moon that obscures the moon during lunar eclipses. But if it's invisible, how is it obscuring anything? I wonder.
Right. Well, yeah, because if something is invisible, how can it cast a shadow?
Yes, exactly.
So as soon as you said invisible anti-moon, and that's all I had heard, I just I'm so Sean, this is why I said they're morons. And I know right now you're playing the part of a flat earther and saying this is the truth. These are the things that are real.
The thing is, there's been such a small handful of human beings that have actually been to space and quote unquote seen the Earth for what it really is, and we're just meant to take their word for it.
Yep.
But what I say as a newly recruited flat Earth believer,
be careful.
It's
people might start believing you're telling the truth right now.
It's much cheaper,
more likely
to fake. It's much cheaper to completely fake space programs than it is to actually have these space programs. So what they're simply doing is taking all the money that's granted to them from the government and private organizations and just making it look like we've been to space, and they're taking all that money. Probably to pay the employees that guard the ice wall.
Yeah.
On the outage of the.
I mean, how many people would you have to have on the outer rim of a flat Earth to be able to guard the ice wall? And why do you give a shit if people fall off the end? People murder each other daily.
Well, if people fell off the edge of the Earth, I mean, I guess you couldn't say
then it would prove that it's flat.
It would prove the conspiracy wrong, or it would prove that the Earth is actually flat and disprove the cover-up.
Right. So how do they explain pictures of Earth having different, like, depending on what part of the day you're taking a photo of the Earth, different continents will be in view. And there's also giant ice wall around the fucking Earth that's constantly changing continents.
Well, because photos and videos can easily be manipulated.
Right. Oh, yeah. I forgot all that space money that's not going towards space programs.
Yeah, they have so much money they can put into, CGI.
But explain... fuck it. Oh, God. Big NASA just trying to, What's
Big NASA?
Yeah. What is
NASA.
What is the agenda? What is the agenda? What do flat earthers believe the agenda for trying to convince people that the Earth is round? Like, what does that do? What is there to gain from that? Exactly.
Well,
flat earthers are fucking idiots.
Let me see if they try. Let me see if they try to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
You're answering a lot of questions. You're asking a lot of questions that I don't recall answers for. So this is really not helping me with my. This is not helping my case here.
I'm happy.
So let's just move on from that right now.
Okay, so you're gonna do what they would probably actually do and just not answer the question.
Yeah, let's talk about gravity. Right,
we're gonna talk gravity
gravity as we all should know is a lie.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's no
such thing as gravity.
Of gravity that's pulling everyone toward the center of the Earth. Right.
Okay, we're pulling the Earth to us.
We're what?
I said, we're pulling the Earth up to us. That's how it works. It's not the opposite way around, right? Flat Earthers, motherfucking idiots.
We're not pulling the Earth up toward us. It's dark energy.
Oh, of course. And anti-energy.
Dark energy is causing the Earth to accelerate upwards at a rate of 32 feet per second.
What?
Which creates the illusion of gravity.
How are we not all getting, just smushed... 32 feet per second? So we're just constantly going upward?
Yes.
What? Thank God space is endless, right? Because we're just traveling crazy in one direction right now.
Right. Objects do not accelerate downward. Instead, the disk of Earth accelerates upward at 32 feet per second squared.
I wonder how they came up with that fake number.
I'm sure there's some science behind it. Some physics.
Whoa, no science. They can't. Nope, they can't use science if they're telling me the Earth is flat. Science is no longer your friend.
Right. So, driven up by a mysterious force called dark energy. Currently, there is disagreement among flat earthers about whether or not Einstein's theory of relativity permits Earth to accelerate upward indefinitely without the planet eventually surpassing the speed of light. As for what lies underneath the disk of Earth, this is unknown, but most flat earthers believe it is composed of rocks.
That was so anticlimactic. So, hold on. So, if the Earth is pushing up against us at a rate of 32 feet per second squared, whatever the fuck that means.
Right.
How are the moon and sun not just getting smashed onto the surface? What's keeping them 3,000 feet above the land?
Well, I'm sure the dark energy is also pushing them up as well at the same rate. As same with the stars, working on their own plane just 100 miles above the sun and moon. I mean, that's the only logical explanation for all of this.
Right. Oh, my God.
So here's some of the reasons.
So angry.
I mean, basically, if you or I were to go outside and look at the Earth, it looks flat. It looks flat. And not only does it look flat, it feels flat.
Oh, yeah. You know why? Because it's fucking huge.
It's round. But someone, I think, I forget who he was. There was some guy who, he did his own experiments. And he went on a flight. He went on a plane, right?
Okay.
And he put a level on his tray table on the plane. Now, if the plane were having to constantly adjust its tilt to follow the curve of the Earth, the bubble theoretically would move from the center of the level. And it did not. It stayed within the lines marking that it is level.
Yeah, because a plane doesn't have to fucking do that.
But
if the plane's not going to go high enough off the fucking ground that it's going to have to, like, adjust for the curvature of the Earth in that sense. And also, it's not going to adjust so much that ball's going to move, like, at all. You'd have to, like, the plane would have to significantly change its degree of angle for that bubble to be affected at all by the angle of the plane. Like, that was just a stupid... Who was this idiot? Who did this? He needs to be taken in the center of town and smacked with a rake.
Oh, like Sideshow Bob.
A garden rake, one of the sharp ones.
The only point where the plane would be at an angle where it would probably adjust the levels during takeoff.
Not even landing.
Takeoff and landing.
Not even really landing. Barely landing.
But when you can't have your tray table down.
Right, but still, takeoff is the only time the plane is really at a significant angle. Like landing, it's even coming in fairly flat. Like probably right at the end of the landing when it, has to touch back wheels first. But takeoff is the only time the plane is ever at a significant angle.
Right.
I hate people so much.
So one question I have, and one thing that would be interesting to propose, and maybe this has been proposed. I'm sure any scientific mind has already proposed this, but if the Earth is a disk, right, versus a sphere, why is it hotter toward the equator, than in other areas of the Earth? But let's say you're at a point above the equator and you're traveling from point A to point B, and then you pick an area below the equator that should be of equal distance based on the vertical curvature of the sphere of the Earth, right?
Okay.
If the Earth is really a disk, when you get below what we call the equator, the distance between those 2 points, it just becomes gradually longer, a greater distance, because you're at the outer edge of the disk versus the inner edge of the disk, right? Does that make sense?
I'm going to agree with you because you were cutting out so bad. I have no idea what you said for the last 2 minutes. I heard the word equator and disk.
So let's say...
So that'll be a fun re-listen.
I'm going to draw a little I'm going to draw a little thing and I'll just show you, and then you can I'll try to explain it and see if it works.
Okay. This is going to be fun for everybody re-listening to what you're saying and not seeing this diagram.
Well, you will see it.
I will see it, but they won't.
We'll see if... Well, I know.
This is riveting.
Okay.
So there's a disk.
That's the sphere Earth, right?
Okay. Oh, that's regular Earth. All right, gotcha.
So you've got up above the equator, you've got America and England written as A and E, right?
Yep. Okay.
And down here I put SA for South Africa and Australia. Now let's just say those are equal distance from each other. As you get further down the sphere of Earth, the stuff gets closer together.
Yep.
And further above the equator, stuff gets closer together. In the disk version,
gotcha.
You would theoretically South Africa and Australia would be much further apart from each other than America and England, right?
Yeah, I guess depending on the way that they think the layout of everything is on a flat.
Well, the center of the disk is North Pole, and everything goes out.
Oh, okay, and everything else is just
from there.
So basically, it's like they think you're basically taking the South Pole and just peeling it out this way and flattening everything out, and that's what the flat Earth looks like.
Well, the South Pole, the Antarctica, is the ring of ice around the edge of the disk.
I think I get. But yeah, so I see what you're saying. With everything else is further apart. Okay.
Yeah. So I guarantee. I mean, if no one else has posed that question, I'd be shocked if I'm the first person that came up with it.
In that sense, the equator is another circular line that is about halfway between the edge of the Earth and the center point of the flat Earth. That the equator would just be its own circle within the bigger circle, right? So it'd be the outer edge, equator, and then the center is... Okay, weird. I don't know how that would work. Why is that the hot point? I guess that's where the sun is directly positioned over that specific spot as it's going around and giving things night and day.
Yeah. Like the equator could always be like in the center of the sun's spotlight, I guess.
I wonder if anybody I want to see somebody set up a diagram of what the flat earthers think. So there's create a flat thing and then have the little sun and moon doing their little dance. All the stars just hanging another 100 feet above that. 100 feet, 100 miles. I don't know. This you've done a bad job convincing me to be a part of this.
But I mean, I've done the equivalent job that the real flat earthers do.
Right.
I'm sure I could. Now there are opposing beliefs on whether or not the Earth is a disk or an infinite plane. But one argument there is that if it's an infinite plane, there's no center. There's no center to an infinite plane. So
right. And flat earthers can't, for the second, think that there can't be a center of anything because they believe that they're the center of everything.
Sure. So what do you think? Did I sway you?
Now you. I just told you I wasn't convinced. Now you said something about, but other people think it's an infinite plane. Do I have you now?
Do I have you now? Come on.
You definitely
There's
don't.
A pile of
no.
There are a pile of rocks underneath the Earth disk.
Yeah, the idea that Earth is just a flat disk with a bunch of rocks underneath it, constantly floating upward at 35 miles per hour squared.
32 miles per second squared.
32, sorry. Oh my God. The sun and the moon are just two little spheres. These are actual spheres floating 3,000 miles above the surface of flat Earth, just circling around.
Yeah.
And then the stars are another 100 miles above those.
On their own plane.
Yeah, on their own plane. So basically they're just like a sheet of paper with a bunch of holes poked through it.
Pretty much.
Yep.
But who poked the holes?
NASA.
They poked the holes?
Why not? They're protecting the edge of flat Earth.
They're already trying to poke the holes in the flat Earth theory all the time.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, sick burn, bro.
Gang signs.
Yeah, no, there's something about me that wants to continue to believe everything I've been taught up to this point and all the things that have been scientifically proven.
I mean, we're taking the word of the handful of folks that have supposedly been to space with all of their doctored photos.
Mm-hmm. I've seen many a thing that has proven the moon landing. So,
but you've been outside, right? Hold on.
I've been outside my house, and I have felt that the Earth feels flat and looks flat. Yeah, I've been there.
I mean, we have to go with what we know, right? I mean, if you think about it,
no, because here's the thing: if you only ever go with what you know, you will never know anything. Because you will never take in learning anything.
No, what I'm saying is you get to know a certain few things and then you don't learn after that. You don't take in any new information or ideas as possibility and you just go with what you know after you've known some things. That's what we should be doing.
That's how terrible things happen in this world. That's how so many bad things that still happen anyways, continue to happen in this world. If you don't try to expand your knowledge in any way.
That's also how Wayne Gretzky won the Stanley Cup.
By not learning anything?
He went with what he knew, which was winning.
I mean, that so does not apply to this at all. I mean, if that's... I'm sure he couldn't apply that to anything other than hockey in his life. But he also knew a lot about hockey and was really good at it, so it doesn't add up to just being.
Well,
it was a statement.
Did you see Wayne Gretzky try to play basketball?
No, because he didn't know how to. Didn't know it.
Go with what you know, and when you go outside and you put your foot or your hand on that earth, it feels.
Well,
flat.
Here's what I know, Sean, because I've already been taught a lot about science and Earth and how things work in space and stuff. So that's what I know. So when I go outside every day, that's what I already know.
But you should also be questioning what you've been taught. Go with what you know, but question what you've been taught.
That's fine, but I'm not going to question it into stupidity.
Even though those are two contradicting ideas.
Do you think that Wayne Gretzky was born with all of his hockey knowledge? He didn't just go with what he knows. He learned how to play hockey and got really good at it and learned all the rules, learned how to skate.
I'm not right. I'm not suggesting that everyone's born with the knowledge they need to live and be successful. He learned hockey and realized, this is what I'm good at, this is what I know, this is what I can get by on. So he went with it. People that walk around on the earth, they're like, I know the earth feels flat. This is what I've learned. This is what I know. This is what I'm going to go on.
Okay. And you're saying that's those people that say, I feel the earth is flat, so that's what I know. I'm going to go with the fact that the earth is flat.
We're hurtling up toward infinity at a rate that makes no sense, and there's a pile of rocks underneath us.
Yep. Those people are dumb.
And there are people that guard an ice wall surrounding the
I love
border.
that idea. I love the idea of NASA hiring people to guard the ice border of flat Earth. I think that could be a very fun movie idea.
It could.
Yeah. We'll make a movie about the Earth actually being flat and that people are out to prove it, and they come across a bunch of guards on the border of flat Earth that they have to battle or something. I don't know. It's dumb. It's not going to work. Scratch the entire idea.
I mean, I think in the course of human history, the concept of a round Earth has really not been around that long.
It's been around quite a while.
It's kind of like, but in the course of human history,
you can trace it back quite a ways, actually, of human history.
What?
That they knew the Earth was round.
To what?
Like
when?
Greek civilization, like back in freaking BC times, they knew the Earth was round.
What shape are you tracing this history in? Is it a ball shape, or is it a line? I want you to be mindful of what shape you're tracing your history in.
It's spherical history.
You can't trust spherical history.
Why can't you trust spherical history?
Sure.
If you're talking right now, I have no idea what you're saying. Oh, there you are. You cut out for a while, so I said...
I wasn't talking at all.
Oh, after I said, why can't you trust spherical history, you didn't say a single word?
No, because
I thought you completely cut out.
I could not understand anything you were saying. I couldn't understand that you asked me that question.
You didn't hear what I said. Perfect. It's because this call is garbage.
Nope.
And it's constantly cutting out.
Right. What I think we can come together and agree on is that the Earth is a shape, and it's undisputed that the Earth is a shape. And on that note, I'm going to say bye.
If you like us, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as HSFamousPod. Email us at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. If you really love us, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/highschoolfamous. Remember, we love you and want to have your babies.